Welcome to Nintendad's review of Yooka Laylee and the Impossible Lair. Review code brought to you by Team 17 Digital. Nostalgia can be a killer. Many games and genres live and die on nostalgia. The original Yooka Laylee achieved massive Kickstarter success from thousands of gamers who craved real, rare games. I was one such individual. I spent countless hours playing Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 on the SNES as a kid. Many nights and weekends were spent at my friend's house as he owned an N64. GoldenEye and Banjo claimed more time than I could imagine. I will even state that I got 100% in nuts and bolts back in college. So backing the newest creation from the old guard of Rareware was a no-brainer. Years went by, and I finally got my hands on the game, and it was fun. But that was it. It was fun. It didn't hold the same magic as their previous games held. I was still hopeful though, because Playtonic, the name of the new team, stated they wanted to continue to create more. Maybe they just needed to get the kinks out of, and their next project would be the true second coming of Banjo. We didn't have to wait overly long, as earlier this year, Yooka Laylee and the Impossible Lair was announced, and it was a 2.5D platformer of all things. Should Playtonic have stuck with 3D, or was this the back-to-basics game the perfect choice? Yooka Laylee and the Impossible Lair places the player in control of Yooka, the chameleon, and Laylee, the bat, as they face the despicable Capital B once again. This time, he has a device called the Hive Mind that allows him to control Queen Phoebe's bees. With this, he is almost invincible. What are our heroes to do? Why, rescue the battalion from Capital B's clutches and use them as an impressive bee shield of their own. Silly, yes, but it's perfectly silly in all the right ways. The writing is dry and witty, and I found myself giggling multiple times in my 15-hour playthrough. This felt more like some of the most rare comedy I've experienced in a long time. Gameplay in the Impossible Lair is split into two sections, the 2.5D levels and the overworld. Action in the overworld takes place with a top-down camera. You have the same abilities you would have in the standard levels, but movement feels a bit slower. Having this overarching overworld still gives it a Banjo-Kazooie meets Zelda feel. You are constantly looking for tomes, the levels, to enter and randomly encounter other misfit characters, some old and some new. They will usually require you to complete a small task to move the game forward or give you hints to unlock secrets. In true Zelda fashion, there are breakable walls that must be bombed. I found myself trying to explore every inch of this world, as there were secrets everywhere, most in the form of tonics, gameplay modifiers, fans of the original will remember, and a few battalion units. The 2.5D levels are the meat of the game, and while it may seem a bit too easy to begin with, Playtonic reminds us that they called this game Impossible Lair for a reason. The stages gradually get more and more complex, and the whole time I was playing this game I couldn't help but think, this is what I would want from a DKC4. Each of the game's 40 stages contain 5 Twit coins each. These coins are vital for progress in the overworld, as Trowser is back with his new get-rich-quick scheme, paywalls. This conniving escape will block access to many areas in the overworld unless you fork over these coins. I personally feel this method was not a hardship, as I naturally found enough coins, and by the halfway point I became obsessed with collecting all 5 in every level. One piece of the game I am not the biggest fan of was the Impossible Lair itself. Even though it is not actually impossible, it is quite the challenge. This level is always available and involves a few boss fights with Capital B and oodles of the most challenging platforming sections this side of Meat Boy. In this level, the battalion units you have rescued become your shield, effectively giving you more chances to finish the level. Even with all 48 battalion units, I find myself struggling to get over the 50% mark for a while, and yes, the game tracks your percentage finished and attempts. While I don't think Playtonic should have made it easier, I think they should have made some of the latter levels more challenging to make the curve more balanced. While the character designs for Yooka Laylee don't seem quite as iconic as Donkey and Diddy or Banjo and Kazooie, they did grow on me more in this game. and the characters had wonderful animations, such as the hint animation when Laylee flies around scared, or Trouser just being his sleazy self. The levels showed a lot of variety, between flooded factories, bright towns, and imposing airships. I was worried that the levels wouldn't feel as diverse with only 20 base levels and their altered versions. I really had nothing to worry about as the team at Playtonic took it upon themselves to make the altered versions feel fresh. There were times when the two levels didn't really resemble each other, and then moments you were like, wow, this is why this item was here. It was meant for this version of the level. One of my favorite aspects of the DKC games was the outstanding soundtracks. The Impossible Lair kept giving me feelings reminiscent of these games. Playtonic had Grant Kirkhope, David Wise, and Dan Murdoch, among others, to compose tracks for the game. Many will recognize Kirkhope and Wise as rare legends. Having them as part of this collaboration is always great, but I can say that every song in the game is a blast, and I will definitely start going to this game as one of my go-tos for game music. In my time with Yooka Laylee, I only encountered one issue, and it was not a deal breaker in my book. I was playing in handheld and just started a level, and before I knew it, I realized I had to run off somewhere for real-world responsibilities. Before the level started, I put my Switch to sleep, thinking nothing about it. When I returned to my game hours later, I found it stuck on the loading screen. After restarting the game, I just made sure not to put the system to sleep while the game was loading. Other than that, my experience with the Impossible Lair went off without a hitch in both docked and handheld mode. Yooka Laylee and the Impossible Lair is everything I didn't know I wanted from Playtonic. This is the game that I personally was waiting for from them. Throughout the entire playtime, I kept thinking about my time with DKC2 as a kid and the many summer days spent poring over every inch of it. I said it before and I will say it again. This game is everything I would want from a rare-made DKC4, and I am happier a gamer having experienced. Our final verdict. Yooka Laylee and the Impossible Lair is an exceptional platformer that bottles the essence of early 90s Rareware classics while also bringing new and original ideas to the table. We give it 5 out of 5.